Good afternoon from the Skyline Studios high above Cape Coral here in sunny Southwest Florida. We've got music, we've got sunshine, and some great conversation coming up with my guest, Scott Parmer. I'm Ken Ullman, and this is the Endless Summer Podcast. So here at the Endless Summer Podcast, we talk about music, the restaurant and bar scene, and other local happenings in the Cape Coral, Fort Myers area. But mostly, we want to tell the stories of the singers, the songwriters, and the people that make Southwest Florida such a great place to hear live music, and some very talented people. Now, before we get into our conversation with Scott Parmer, a big shout out to our sponsor, Rumrunners. Located right here in Cape Harbor at the southern tip of Cape Coral, they got great waterfront views, live music 7 days a week, tasty drinks, I might add, a friendly staff, and best of all, awesome food. They open every day at noon, and I promise if you stop in, you will not be disappointed. All right, so living in Southwest Florida is really like being in an endless summer. And with that comes great live music, which brings me to today's guest, Mr. Scott Parmer. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you here today. Now, normally I start the podcast by asking if someone was a native Floridian, but I happen to know that old Scott here comes from Pennsylvania. As a matter of fact, Lancaster, which is very close to where I came from before I moved to Florida, which was Harrisburg. So anyway, first of all, how did you end up here?
Well, to try to make a long story short, I went to Hawaii. I went to Maui, actually, in 2019, I believe. And at that time, I was still working full-time up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
A regular tech support desk job for the software company. And I spent almost a whole month, I think it was about 3 weeks in Maui, in Hawaii, and came home and I could not get it out of my head. Like, I wanted to live there so bad. I had just gotten divorced, so I was on that. What am I going to do with the second phase of my life?
Yeah, sure.
And the island time vibe there was just incredible. So I spent a month at least just trying to figure out how I could logistically make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought that I was even. Once you pass the West Coast, it's still a 5-hour flight to get to the islands.
Yeah.
I thought, I just can't probably do it. I mean, I probably maybe figure out a way to make a living. But my son was still in Pennsylvania at that time, and the grandkids, and it's just, so shortly after that, I had a sabbatical coming up at work, and I came down here to visit some friends in St. Pete. And I visited about a week and a half there, and then a week and a half here in Fort Myers.
Okay.
In Cape Coral, actually. And I was trying to decide between the two, which I liked better. And of course, St. Pete's beaches are awesome.
Oh,
Treasure
absolutely.
Island.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so cool. It had that little bit of that island vibe that Maui had. But hands down, it was so much nicer down here. It was more spread out. I don't know, it's just a better area. So that's how I ended up moving here. And then I got let go from my job because during the whole COVID thing.
Oh, right, right.
Which I think you moved down here.
Yeah, I did too. As a matter of fact, I lived in Madeira Beach before I came to Cape Coral. And, I felt the same way. I loved the beaches in St. Pete, and I loved the downtown. But when you start looking for, then a couple of years ago, it was a huge price difference down here versus up there. Now it's kind of evened out, but
you're right.
Big price. So when did you start playing?
I was probably 12, 13-ish, and I started as a drummer. So I'm beating on everything around the house, the tables and everything. Finally, my parents got me had paper heads on it. For Christmas, they got me this little
something quiet
drum set, and of course, they didn't last long. They were broken. So it was a little bit beyond that. I finally got my first kind of half of a drum set. So I was downstairs. I actually had a vinyl. I'm going to date myself here. I had a vinyl album that was one side, it was teaching you the basics of playing the drums, and the other side was all these songs you could play along to. And the one I remember the most was the Hawaii Five-0 theme.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved that one. Walk, Don't Run. There was all these really cool. It was the Ventures, I think, was the band that.
The music. The Ventures. Yeah.
So that's how I started. I started on drums, but I always sang. And as bands progressed through the years, they kept coaxing me to come out front.
Okay.
So I came out front. I felt totally awkward just standing there. I needed to be part of the music. So I was back home teaching myself how to play guitar.
Boy, do I know that feeling.
Yeah, I want to be part of the melody and the music and that. I don't want to just stand there and sing. So, but I was, unbeknownst to me, I was home teaching myself to play guitar upside down. I didn't know I picked up a right-handed guitar.
Oh, that's
and was
right.
Playing it,
that's right, yes.
Playing it like a left-hander would, but never changed the strings, never did any of that because I didn't know. So by the time I took it to the band and said, to Bill, who was our main guitar player at the time, I want to play rhythm. I want to play backup. I know a lot of the bar chords. I can do some support work here. And he looked at me. He's like, you're holding it upside down.
Wow.
So that's how that ended up, and evolved into what it is today. I've started as a drummer. Always sang. Now play guitar and sing and play drums.
And so when did you actually start playing professionally, if you will, where you got paid for playing out?
Probably when I was 15, I was playing the drums, and we were a 3-piece band practicing in the garage. The old, the stereotypical.
No, well.
In fact, I wasn't even allowed in the bar area. Like my dad had to drive me to the gig with the drums in the back of the car. I had to sit out in the lobby because I was only 15, and go in and play, and then go back out. It was a private club, so I don't know what the rules are with the public places, but. So really it's 15, but mostly for the first decade or so, it was really just for fun, and if you made a few bucks, it was cool. I think it was later in life that I started to realize I could make some money out of this, and I did that for a while in a wedding, the wedding bands, the whole scene. But it was all weekends because I had a full-time job.
Okay. So you did the wedding band thing too. Did you ever do, like when I was 18, 19, much of us went into a studio and tried to make it, like I think everyone does. But in those days, without YouTube or anything to get your songs out, it was a lot tougher, Did you ever do any recording of, because I know you have originals. Did you ever do any then?
I didn't do any professional recording other than the band I was in at the time. We had been taken in to do a few commercial spots and things like that, which ran on TV. But I never did any musical recording. I was home myself. This was before multi-tracks were available to the average musician. I had 2 tape decks, 2 cassette decks. And I'd record, the drums, and I'd just be going back and forth. By the time I got to the 8th or 9th generation, the quality wasn't so good. But that's how I started doing multi-track recording.
And then you bought the 3440 TIAC or whatever it was.
We went to the ADAT.
You went to the ADAT.
I had one, and my friend had one, so we had 16 tracks.
Okay.
So I had that for a while until the Porta Studios came out and things like that.
Boy, times sure have changed.
They have changed.
Now all you need is a computer, pretty much.
Yeah, for the most part,
pretty much almost anything. So, I see you have a Taylor. What other guitar are you a big guitar collector? Or?
I'm not a collector per se, but I like to have a few of them around. You don't want one beer in the fridge, you want a few.
Yeah, good point. That's a great analogy.
So no, I have 2 Taylors. This is it's a smaller version of Taylor. I have a mini Taylor at home that's made out of koa wood. It's beautiful. Okay. And then I have 2 Martin guitars. They're D18s, I believe. They're the ones I take out on jobs.
Oh, okay. So there's the one that you play when I've seen you at Rumrunners.
Yep, they're the ones. They're a little bit bigger. Give me a little more bottom end because I'm carrying all the music myself.
Yeah, sure.
This is the one I sit around and learn things on and write music and things. So I kind of use it for this type of a situation.
You play anything else, keys or anything, or just?
I'm one-handed. I'm a great one-handed keyboard player. I know all the chords with my right hand. The left hand just does not want to do that.
It's so funny that we have even more in common. I'm the same way. I can play the slow Journey songs, the slow Billy Joel songs.
REO Speedwagon.
REO Speedwagon.
I got all them down.
Yeah. But I can't play anything fast because this hand just doesn't want to move.
It doesn't want to do.
Independently of the other hand,
Yeah, I have a very good friend, keyboard player up in Pennsylvania. Played a lot of years with him, and he's a teacher as well.
Oh, okay.
And he has his students sit on their right hand.
Wow.
And learn with that left hand.
Wow.
And I understand that's probably a good way to do it.
That's probably a good way to do it.
It would be so frustrating because this hand just doesn't. That's why I never understood the whole left-handed guitar thing, because my right hand's the one forming all the chords and doing a lot of the work. The left hand's really just strumming.
Finger
picking. So I kind of always thought this was right-handed.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I never thought of it that way. That you would, because when you mentioned that before, I was wondering how did you end up that, and then obviously you mentioned it. But
it's my strong hand.
Yeah. And when you're playing, I know I've seen you play at Rumrunners. Scott plays at Rumrunners. I've seen what makes the gig good for you? Like, I enjoy when people are kind of mouthing the words with me and singing along or tapping their feet.
Yeah, that's probably the big one is because a lot of times, especially in our atmospheres, they're on vacation, they're having their family out, they're like really preoccupied. So we're kind of in the background or atmosphere. But I do see and I can sense the energy that you can see their feet moving, you can see that they're looking around and like, oh wow, I haven't heard that song in a long time.
It's great.
And,
I like
and then
that.
breaks, they'll come up and they'll say, I know it seems like we're not listening to you, but we really love your music, that kind of thing. So that's what gets me going. It's occasionally you get that crowd though, or the people out there that you could tell they really aren't listening.
Yeah, really aren't paying attention.
They're totally not plugged in.
And, it's one of the reasons why we play an occasional private party, like we have one coming up, and I enjoy that because when you're at a party that's a private party, everybody knows everybody for the most part.
Right.
Obviously the bar is fun, but you got all different people that don't know each other, so the private parties tend to be a lot of fun too because it's just a good atmosphere. So I've seen you say, where else do you play? You play some other place around here, obviously.
I played the Lighthouse,
Waterfront,
Port Royal,
McGregor, yep.
I play at Finn's quite a bit, at least twice a month in Cape Coral.
Know David well. Yeah, he's a good. Man.
I like going there. It's sort of like going. It reminds me of one of the places I would play up like in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I said he was kind enough to sponsor one of our podcasts recently, and I mentioned that I felt like it was just a great local hangout, like a really great local hangout.
Very good. Like the deck bar too. I play there occasionally. It's kind of a little bit more of a blue collar-ish. But I like that because I cut my teeth on that kind of environment.
Exactly. Well, and you play stuff, for that crowd, and I love watching people, like I said, sing along. And to your point, especially when you play something that's not totally off the wall, but it's maybe a little more obscure, and it's one of those, I love when people are like, wow, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yes, exactly.
That's always one of my favorites is when you could tell people are sort of thinking, wow, I remember that, and they enjoy it. So how about influences? I grew up in the 80s, right? In the Styx and Kansas and Journey and, and 70s too, really.
Right, really.
Kiss and Frampton. How about yourself?
Kind of. You listed a lot of them, from back then. Of course, my brother was a really good singer. He's a little older than me. And he was really into the whole disco scene and the funk scene. And I'm home listening to Deep Purple and Pink Floyd. And, I was the rocker.
Deep Purple, I forgot about that.
The rebellious rocker type. So, that's kind of my young influence. The Eagles, I love the Eagles. Jackson Browne.
Yep.
A little more currently, I love Tom Petty. Tom Petty's a huge influence on my songwriting. Pete Droge, I don't know how many people know who Pete Droge is. If they don't, look him up. He's tremendous. He toured with Petty.
Okay, Tom Petty.
Tom Petty. Yeah. Very similar styles, but his music is awesome. So I have so many. I have such a diversified.
Well, I'm the same way. I like a lot of stuff. I may listen to one type more than the other. But it's pretty much not too much that I don't like. And I like to listen to new stuff and try to figure out, where it fits in the genre. But these days it's a little tricky, I think, to figure some of that out. We're a lot alike, I'm sure. In terms of, I just believe that some of the older songs, they're fantastic, and they're going to be fantastic 50 years from now. And, people will still be playing Journey songs and Led Zeppelin songs. A lot of what you hear today, I don't know if you're going to hear that 50 years from now.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Speaking of which, you write some originals too. Oh, I know. I wanted to ask you one thing though before that. Is this your full-time career?
It is now.
Okay, it is now. Okay, right.
Since I moved down here, yeah.
Since you came, okay. Because I was joking with a friend of mine, and they said everybody in Florida has a side hustle. If you have a job, but you still have a side hustle. But I'm like yourself too. I started to make it a full-time thing now that I'm sort of retired myself. So good. So you're doing it all the time. And how many nights a week you play?
On average, 4, maybe 5.
Oh, okay.
I try to take a few days during the week to just focus on like the studio and recording and writing.
And
learning new songs because I'm a new music junkie. I get really tired of what I'm playing.
Okay, right.
So every time I go out, like, well, I should say once a week or so, I like to have 5, 6 new songs to filter in there. Keeps me excited. The club, the venues that I play, they always comment on how you never do the same songs in the same order or whatever. And
we do the same, and I try to do that too. It's nice to when they notice that you actually are taking the time to learn new songs.
Because you know it takes a lot more work.
Oh, exactly, absolutely. It's nice when they actually notice that. I was wondering about the side hustle thing, but you've written a bunch of originals, right?
A lot, yeah.
Oh, good. And you're going to play one.
I can play one.
Oh, absolutely. Would love to hear it. And this one, if I remember correctly, is called Seven More Sleeps.
Yes.
7 More Sleeps. So Scott's going to fire up the guitar here and play us a tune.
Oh, I forgot to mention that I do, because you asked me what else I play. I learned the harmonica when my father passed away years ago. I found a key of G harmonica in his drawer, and I knew he always wanted to play it.
Oh, wow.
So it was one of the things that I took from the estate, and I swore that I was going to learn to play it. So with that one harmonica turned into, I think I have 10 now.
You know, it's funny. I tell people that I always learn something new, right, when I talk to people like yourself. And today I learned exactly just how the harmonica sits in there, because I've never known that until right now when you showed me how you open that clip thing.
Oh, and
I never knew how it actually sits in this in the holder or whatever you call it.
It's challenging because it has to stay close by. So it's get caught in my beard and it's pulling my beard out.
Right.
I wish I could just turn it aside or whatever. Somebody can invent something like that.
This music thing is challenging, isn't it?
Yeah, or a boom stand with a mic.
Or hanging in front of you, yeah. So, hey, for your listening pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Scott Parmer and 7 More Sleeps.
7 more sleeps until I'm home again. 7 more sleeps until this trip is through. It's not like I'm keeping track of every passing moment, but I just can't wait till I get home to you. 7 more kisses I can save for you. 7 more love yous I can whisper in your ear. I'm saving them up, all these hugs I got to give to you. But these 7 days will feel just like a year. 7 more sunsets until I see your pretty face. 7 more nights to sleep alone. Now maybe when I close my eyes I'll dream of you tonight. Then it won't seem so long. I'll try to be patient and strong. 7 more sunsets until I see your pretty face. 7 more nights to sleep alone. Now maybe when I close my eyes I'll dream of you tonight. Then it won't seem so long. I'll try to be patient and strong. 7 more sleeps until I'm home again. 7 more sleeps until I'm finally home to you.
Wow, that was awesome.
Thank you.
You know, I'll tell you, I've been saying that I've met so many talented people on the way, and men, today is no exception. That was awesome. I love the message behind that song. Like, trying to get home to see that person that you love, and it just hits home. I get it.
It's funny. Let me real quick.
Yeah.
Where it came from. I've never heard that phrase before, but my girlfriend Corey, whenever she's away, we're not together, she's always, I only have 3 more sleeps, you know, 3 more sleeps, 2 more sleeps, and that's kind of where that came from. So I owe that to Corey.
You know, I often wonder, is she from the States?
She's originally from Long Island, New York.
Oh, okay.
But she's been down here in Florida for more like 20 years, 18 to 20 years, something in that area.
The reason I ask is the first time I heard it was actually down in the Cayman Islands.
Oh.
And my friends from the UK, that was their standard saying for until they're going somewhere or whatever. It was always, and that's the first time I heard it too. They said, 7 more sleeps before we go away or whatever. But I never knew, I never knew really where it originated, but that's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, and we've got a treat today, right? So you're about to release a song that you're going to do on the ukulele, right?
Exactly.
Tell me about that.
I wrote it on the ukulele. It was sort of meant to be a spin-off of like a Margaritaville type thing, because obviously, living down here, we play Margaritaville constantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's only one song, so I would like to have. I have a lot of beach theme type songs, but I like to write my own as well to throw in there.
Okay.
So this was more of a quick 3-chord sing-along type song that I wrote that I called Tequilaville.
So we're going to do a quick change of instruments, and we'll be right back. And Scott's going to perform Tequilaville. All right, so we're back, and Scott's going to play Tequilaville for us. Mr. Scott Parmer and Tequilaville.
Back about a year ago, while on vacation down in Mexico, a little cantina called Tequilaville, frozen potions, catfish on the grill. We're singing, oh, 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 it's no surprise, drinking margaritas that were oversized. Oh, 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 I do it again. Triple second lime was my best friend. A little beachfront bar with a catchy name, flip-flops and bikinis, the name of the game. I can't recall all that happened that night, except dancing in the sand in the bright moonlight and singing, oh, 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 it's no surprise, drinking margaritas that were oversized. Oh, 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 I do it again. Triple second lime was my best friend. Oh, here we go. Friends on a summer night, everybody feeling good, we were feeling alright, hoping the night could last a year and a day. Nobody wants to go, wanna stay here and play. We're singing, oh, 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 it's no surprise, drinking margaritas that were oversized. Saying, oh, 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 I do it again. Triple second lime was my best friend. Singing, oh, 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 it's no surprise, drinking margaritas that were oversized. Oh, 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 I do it again. Triple second lime was my best friend.
All right, Mr. Scott Parmer with Tequilaville. You know, I love. It's a great song. I love songs that make me happy. You know, and that you know, you got to tap your feet to that one. I love stuff like that. Tequila is also one of my favorite liquids, but I'm sure for many
it is
people,
down here for a lot. Yeah.
I'm sure that's the case. So where can we catch you? I know we can catch you at Rumrunners. Do you play there regularly, or?
Yeah, just about every other Saturday. I had a couple Saturdays off because I took one off. So
Finn's, you said?
I play at Finn's. I'll be there next Wednesday. I'm pretty much there every other Wednesday evening.
Okay.
I play at the Lighthouse.
Yeah, Lighthouse. That's right. Yeah, Lighthouse.
And in the Boathouse. I was just last night at the Boathouse in Cape Coral. Next Monday I'll be in the North Fort Myers and then back to Cape Coral. I flip-flop them back and forth.
So Finn's, Boathouse, Rumrunners, gotcha. And the Deck Bar you mentioned was another one.
Deck Bar is coming up.
All in Cape Coral here for the most part.
Yeah, so I kind of get around, a little variety. I went through the audition process at Margaritaville and I got asked to play there, so I haven't got any schedule where I'll be.
We did too. I'm waiting to hear back from them. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
We'll be running into one another.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did too. We got they sent us the email and we got back to them, but we haven't heard any actual dates. So yeah, I was excited about that. Yeah, me too. I was excited
back to
about
the beaches.
Yes, back to the beach. Exactly. So you also have a website, right? What's it?
ScottParmer.com.
Keep it easy enough, right? Possible. And you're on Facebook too?
Once you go onto my website, all the social media is there, schedule, all the fun things.
Great. Well, I had a great time today. This was absolutely awesome. Yeah, absolutely awesome. I love this. I love both of the songs, actually. We will see you in a couple weeks with another awesome musical guest. But in the meantime, from the Skyline Studios here in Cape Coral, this is Mr. Scott Parmer. Scott, thank you for being here very much.
Yes.
We appreciate it, and it's really good to have you. Glad we got to talk a little bit and get to know each other. And my name is Ken Allman. Enjoy your endless summer in this beautiful area of Southwest Florida. And this is the Endless Summer Podcast.